Hello and welcome to another edition of Toys from the Attic. As you can see, I have another one of the Transformers Combiner Wars figures. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Stunticon's Dead End. Now as far as characters go, I'm going to say that this guy is actually my favorite design out of the Stunticons. I'm not exactly sure that I could pinpoint what it just is. I just like the overall look and aesthetic of this guy. I think it's the arms and just the way the feet are actually designed, how they're kind of big and their proportions seem just about right. It also kind of reminds me of one of the older Rock Lord figures that I used to have, or well, actually still have. As far as this guy's articulation, well, I should also talk about the detailing. I love how they actually still try to get the extra paint in there, and the nice little Decepticon logo that's added right there. I'm used to older toys where they just kind of slap paint on and will skimp on some of the detailing like that and just leave it up to the imagination, so little things like that are appreciated for me. Now, as far as his articulation goes, his head can move around just a little bit. It's on a ball joint, but because of the way it's shaped, or his head's shaped, it can't get too much up and down motion, mostly just side to side. His arms are also on this nice little ratchet joint right here that allow them to move up and down, and they also have a ball joint right in there. Now you think this extra little bit of plastic would get in the way a lot like how it did with Breakdown, but it actually doesn't hinder his movements all too much, and the extra bit of kibble right here on the back from the front part of his car isn't that much of a hindrance, so you don't have too much of a hang-up. He has a nice bicep swivel right here along with the elbow articulation, and a nice ratchet joint for the wrist, although that's actually still part of the transformation, but I'm going to count it anyways as his articulation. He has a waist swivel along with a ball joint hip and another thigh swivel right here, and then his knees can bend back like that. Overall, he's actually a pretty good figure. He seemed a little unsturdy in the legs just a little bit, but because of his transformation, because of how they pop apart like this, but other than that, he's actually really cool. Now as far as his weapons go, he's another one of those Stunticons that comes with a weapon that I think is supposed to either be a melee weapon, but also can double as a gun, sort of, or I guess that's what they were thinking. So he has this kind of tailpipe club that he could use, or you can stick it in his hand like this, and it can actually, I guess, double as a gun, sort of, yet you're going to really have to kind of stretch your imagination, because if that's supposed to be the barrel, it's just shooting straight up. Now the part that actually helps form the hand and foot for Menasor is this little gun piece right here. We don't get that standard engine shape in here like we do with some of the other Stunticons, but that's okay, you can't have it for all of them. And you see that there's this little three-barreled gun right here. I'm really nice that they actually try to make each one of these guys' weapons unique and individual. Some of the Aerobots, they kind of share the same foot mold for this thing. Now he also has two pegs right here on either side of his shoulders, so you could actually store his weapon right here on his side. And this also goes for when he's in vehicle mode too, well, for this part at least. And then you could store this weapon right here as well, so he doesn't always have to be holding his weapon. He can kind of be a little bit like Starscream or some of the Seekers and just move his shoulder up and be able to fire. Now to get Dead End into his alt mode, we're going to first start by flipping his arms into his forearms, or I guess his hands into his forearms, I should say. Move that in there like that. Then we're going to make sure that his arms are kind of locked into place right here. Make sure that his elbows are back. And then just move his arms down and over to the side. Oh, forgot one thing. We should also rotate his hips or his waist all the way around and then put that down. Almost forgot that part. After that, we're going to then move the front part of his hood up like this, and then try to make it's just going to have just enough room to clear his back right here, and you're going to see these little tiny pegs right here that'll fit into some little grooves. Alright, get those right in there, and then we can move this chest piece all the way up so it covers his face. Just going to make sure everything snaps into place right now. And I'm going to move his windshield down like so. After that, we're going to go here to his feet, and then they actually open up like this. And you're going to take this little peg right here and then flip it all the way down. Oh, no, wait, I leave it up. Yeah, we flip it down for something else. And anyways, after that, we're going to rotate them up around like this. Squeeze them together. Put everything back the way it was. And there you go. You have him in his vehicle car mode. And I will say that it's actually not that bad of a design. I really actually like it. It's this nice, smooth, sleek shape, and it rolls fairly nicely. Like I've always said, this table isn't exactly the best for rolling these figures on because it has little tiny grooves in it, and other stuff, so things are able to catch just a little bit easier on these things. So I should really take these and put them on a nice flatter surface or smoother surface to see how well they roll. Now, to get dead end here into the foot mode of Menosaur is a simple 4-step process, or at least it should be. I ran into some little problems with actually transforming this guy. First off, let's start by moving his windshield down, and then we're going to move the hood of his car back like this. It's going to want to take the chest and the head with it. Just let that kind of happen. Now, before I actually move this all the way down, I had some problems getting this part out, so what I ended up having to do was move his windshield up so much like this. Take this actual his weapon, and then just kind of slide it in there and push that out. It's a very, very tight joint once it gets right in there, and I don't have the strength or the nails, actually, I should say, to actually pull this part up and around like that. So that's why I need to kind of use a tool. But luckily he comes with this weapon that actually can do the job. Anyways, finish moving his front part of his hood back like this, then just move this up around like so. Just take the foot, place it down here, and that's about it. Now you have the foot of Menosaur. Move that around like that. Alright, now to get dead end here into the arm mode of Menosaur is actually fairly simple. We're going to start off by moving his windshield back like this, and then move the hood of his car all the way back around as well, so it's kind of down like that. We're then going to move his legs out like here, so we can actually separate them and move them down, almost like we're going to be getting them right back into robot mode. It's probably easier just to separate them, because then we got to actually have this little bar move all the way down here. It's actually essential for forming the arm. Okay, just move this back around here. Make sure everything's locked into place, and then snap his legs back together. There we go. Then we're going to take his arms and move them up. And you can see that there's actually this little slot right here and a little peg right there. And those are actually going to fit right in there. Almost kind of forming a little bicep of the arm. Then we're going to move this part up at a 90-degree angle. Maybe rotate this around. Then we're going to take the hand/foot of Menosaur. Move the fingers out. Move here, move the thumb up, and just attach it. And there you go. You now have the arm of Menosaur. Once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen today, please help me out by sharing, liking, or even subscribing. Comments and advice are also appreciated. Who knows, something you suggest may appear on the show in the future.